the first three, that just indicates that TT want to pick their bot lane duo here. Something that we haven't seen prioritized enough is the Xayah Rakan. And I think Yao is a very good Rakan, and especially paired alongside Beichuan and Ucal, who love their mobility champions, it could be an angle for TT to take.
Huanfeng only played it once in the regular season, but historically, Huanfeng has been a great Xayah. So, Kitty, you're on the money here. Not only does Rakan come as a first pick, but now TT going to show us whether they put the priority into the Xayah or if they leave it to, I guess, the third pick with a priority jungler. But you've already got the Wukong on the other side. At the very least, this could just be about the setup. Zhao's been coming through quite a bit, or as they say on the Chinese side, Zhao Xin. So Beichuan just going to show us his second game of the pick.
Yeah, Zhao Xin is going to get locked in for Beichuan, but with RNG denying the Xayah, you can also just lock in something like the Nautilus, where you still have a lot of kill threat for the bottom lane of RNG. But what is TT going to pick for that ADC position? Because we know that Rakan is still a very good pairing alongside Zeri. And I think Huanfeng, when he is given the Zeri, it is very exciting to watch. But from the statistics, I believe he only has a 37% win rate on this champion so far. So it's going to be a little bit rough.
It is a champion he's played the most of, but has the worst win rate. A very good point to highlight here. As Xayah's not actually taken away just yet, but RNG were hovering it before. You're expecting this to just be a natural instinct for Gala. They get breathed back on the Kennen though, Kitty. Again, last game wasn't the best showing, but did end up being quite impactful. As now, we have RNG with a bit of priority and TT showing us that they're willing to throw out the gauntlet a little bit. Huanfeng's got a lot to prove on this Zeri pick that you said wasn't too successful in the regular season.
Look, he pops off, but sometimes he gets a bit of Zeri syndrome in him. But to be fair, if you don't have Zeri syndrome, you're not an LPL ADC. So I'm more than happy to see Huanfeng just have the amazing performance that he's been having for the previous series. Yep. But now, mid lane is a very big question because you already have the Zhao Xin and the... I can't stop calling him Zhao Xin now. You just planted that in my brain. But this Xin Zhao is going to prioritize in that early game, looking for those duels. So you want a mid laner that provides the lane party, maybe something like the Syndra or even Tristana perhaps, but I don't think Hoya is... Oh, I'm blind. Maybe just something that provides the lane party. I think Syndra would work here for the side of TT, and Hoya just locks in the Scion.
I like the Syndra point. Again, you talk about lane priority for Ucal, which is very common for him as well. Something like, you know, we've seen Jace's. The Veigar now banned away was another one there, Kitty, as well. Some of the Silences have come through, but again, only one game. So it is a curious question here, as they've even banned away Lissandra, Ari for themselves. Are they just looking to pick the LeBlanc here, Kitty?
Yeah, it does seem like TT is trying to get rid of all the LeBlanc counters, but Hoya, he needs to make up for that front line. I believe they're gonna actually save counter for Ucal to the very last, maybe even a blind KSante, since it is Hoya's most played, I believe, 10 so far in the regular splits. So it's going to be very interesting on what TT decides to do, and it is going to be the LeBlanc. So they're saving counter for Hoya.
Okay, well, Hoya getting a bit of priority. I mean, he's already got the Kennen in the top son. But at the very least, maybe they just want to see how the comp's rotating, because, Kitty, things like Scion, KSante, you mentioned, a bit of a front line for TT that could help out things like the Zeri and LeBlanc would be interesting. While on the other side for RNG, they now kind of know the cards they're going into apart from that top lane.
It is going to be naturally the Nautilus lock-in for Ming, where just having that ultimate ability to be the initiation for the side of RNG just allows Wei to have so much to work off. But this Vex is going to get locked in. I'm so excited because we first saw it in Xiaohu's hands and he popped off in their regular split, especially up against this LeBlanc pick.
And it's been coming through left, right, and center in the previous weeks as well, especially week 10. Vex has been popping up quite a bit more. As we're going to see how this one plays out, because KSante gets locked in the end. Kitty, run me through TT to start off, because I see a front line again. I see Huanfeng with emphasis, and Ucal did get this pick of his choice that eventually was counted in the end.
I'm really sad that TT decided to save the counter pick for Hoya when you already had the enemy team blinding the Kennen. So if the counter spot was saved for Ucal, this team composition, or at least this LeBlanc, would have a much easier time in the mid lane, because this Vex is such a hard counter for the Xin Zhao, for the Rakan, even the LeBlanc. So it's going to be really tough to execute when it does come to the 5v5 skirmishes where RNG every single lane.
For this game number 3, because Kitty, if these lanes go well for RNG, I'm worried about how TT are going to have anything to say in the first 25 minutes of the game.
Exactly that. As we enter Summoner's Rift, it is going to be so interesting to see which team explodes before the 25-minute mark, as both of our games so far has been just been completed at the 10-minute. But TT being extremely cheeky here.
Are they going to find it? Yes, on a Ward Angels there. And Beichuan forced the flash. It was actually Ucal who matched that there, trying to get a binding. So a little bit early on the trigger.
Yeah, Flash will flash in the mid lane, but Ucal did start the chain, so he's going to struggle just a tiny bit when it comes to the first few levels of getting that lane party, which could affect Beichuan, as you want to be going in for those invades. Since he took the lethal tempo, he's looking for 100 to zeros on this Wukong. Maybe a bit of revenge, because Wei has been just ganking and invading for the past 2 games.
I mean, again, it's just something you don't see all the time, do you? Beichuan needs revenge, considering that game number 2, Wei took over. Game 1, Beichuan found windows, and we want to see that here again as Wei starting on the bottom side. Kitty, Beichuan's on top side this time around. There is a ward from a TT that are going to spot the entrance towards jungle, because I think there's one thing we can note off the patterns. Kitty, so far in the series, Wei has been invading non-stop at level 3 on enemy blue buff, like every game.
Yeah, I'm not going to be surprised if Beichuan decides to do the exact same, since they already have the ward placed onto the blue, but you need to consider that top lane is currently getting pushed in, and also mid is going to struggle just a tiny bit with the E start LeBlanc. Perhaps a 2v2 in that blue, but I think TT is still going to come out on top, because Zhao is just so much more valuable when it comes to the early stages.
And I hope that we see that value used towards mid. The flash was burnt. We saw it on our screen. Even though Ucal burned his, it's LeBlanc versus Vex, and we know where the mobility lies, Kitty. So how does Beichuan get into this lane? What do you see as the setup for TT to try and abuse this early summoner?
Yeah, I mean, you just need to get the chain landing onto Angel, since Ucal is now level 3, so he has a lot of mobility, and he pretty much just has a free flash. LeBlanc doesn't really care. The hook lands!
Good. And the root comes in at the same time. Huanfeng is okay. Ming just getting some good trades off to this bottom lane that is shoving up quite aggressively. However, RNG find nothing more, and again, Ming just seeking out hooks left, right, and center, feeling enthralled after his last game on Leona.
Ming has been popping off on these melee supports. I won't lie, I think he is the most fun to watch when it does come to the current meta, as he is just landing everything in lane. But with the Zhao pathing towards his bottom lane, if RNG ever accidentally uses flash from Xayah landing something, they're just going to get repeat ganked from the side of 2, even power dove, might I add. So it's going to be very dangerous, because Angel is not going to have as much mobility when it comes to rotating to these plays, so it's going to be point to look out for.
But it'd be a very different vibe though, wouldn't it? Because remember, game 2, they lost out with bot completely. Beichuan was like, I love top lane. Let me go to Hoya for the 10th time and kill Breathe. There was no emphasis on bot whatsoever. And look, as we see, the monkey coming top. Hoya gonna get a taste of the medicine that was given over. Flashes were burnt, but the monkey survives. First blood over to Breathe. He's getting retribution.
It looks like top is going to be the main ATM for both teams in this series, as Wei just gets a very successful game pulled off, since Hoya was so poked out from the original. But this first blood in the hands of Breathe is going to become such an issue. Kennen's already done it twice in this series, and I'm not going to be surprised if he's going to one-tap Huanfeng and Ucal, because they're so squishy. But look at this mid lane matchup. But before we do that, Hoya was just so poked out, and he gets an instant stun from Breathe. So that was just, you can't predict it. And both flashes being committed just means Hoya falls, but first blood is going to be tough.
Beautiful flash over the Natopo little push back as well. Nice stuff from Breathe. He's going to be teleporting up to the top lane now. Got to back off while we're in the replay, and picked up the Sork shoes. So that's what he does with his first blood money, as Hoya comes back to lane, but only has himself a Ruby Crystal in comparison. Jungle's picking up some damage themselves as Ucal. He's trying to find an angle onto Angel, but he's flashed.
It lands.
It's up and available again, but Beichuan won't have anything to tether to, because you're right. That chain needs to connect and fully connect for TT to find some kind of advantage mid. But Kitty, they haven't gotten anything mid yet, and now that their flash is back up and available, I feel like, again, TT just haven't punished the window that they wanted to so much.
Yeah, possible angle that TT can take from here on out is you rotate Xayah up when the bot lane wave is good and slowly pushing towards Huanfeng. But Hoya is just gonna have a terrible time now with Breathe also getting that slow push, so Wei can realistically re-gank this with a huge wave as Breathe is going to hit level 6 very soon.
Looking forward to it because Wei sitting towards the top side again. It's just hilarious with the way this series has been so far. Kitty, I want to talk a little bit about Comso while we have some downtime. I want to mention, or at least ask you to tell me a little bit about how RNG are going to function, because you talked about this. There's 3 really decent waves, or rather lanes, for RNG. How do they play after the laning phase? How do RNG come together as a team?
I think when you are versing a Xayah for most of these compositions, you ideally want TT to be making the mistakes, or at least the first ones to initiate, where Gala is going to get a lot of insane roots up against something like the Rakan, the Zhao, even KSante. And honestly, Zeri, when she misuses her cleanse in these team fights, Angel needs to be that person who protects Gala, as you have such an amazing passive when it comes to these 5v5s, and the CC is going to be impossible for Ucal and Beichuan to play around.
So protection, then maybe a counterpunch, Kitty. I like that, especially with the Xayah used in the equation. For TT, you're telling me there's a lot of dives, there's a lot of all-in tools. I'll be keeping an eye on Huanfeng, as we do for every Zeri game, even with Rakan here instead of something like the Lulu. Is TT going to get the Dragon first up here in the bottom side, while we saw the reason why. It felt like there was no mid laner because Ucal bursted out Angel, even got a really good reset there, and bot seems to be doing rather well. It feels like for now, RNG, their lane that is stomping, and I mean pub stomping with fish and chips, is Breathe. Hoya versus Breathe is like this army of minions that is just helping Breathe get more and more turret play.
You're really hungry tonight, Hysterics. You made a lot of food analogies so far.
I had a salad and it wasn't enough. It had beef in it, but I'll tell you one thing. It was not enough food. And I have a craving for some fast food right now. I could do with some real crap, you know, like some Mackie D's. Oh, man. Man, those hot chips. Yeah, like, honestly, nothing, well, some things do compare as Angel. Looking for Beichuan for the fear, but a good kite away from Beichuan as the Mistral Bolt doesn't connect either. Meanwhile, Ucal's running in. Angel's got his flash available, but Ucal's going to try and burn that out. Chain doesn't connect though from Ucal. Second one comes through, and although he finds a good bit of damage, RNG back him up.
It is going to die down, but the CS lead in top is just getting bigger and bigger. As Wei playing towards that top side, a very big, refreshing thing to see, because the past 2 games, the jungler who played towards top was the one losing. However, with the Zeri going the cold, we already know that bot lane is going to be extremely sleeper, especially with Xayah having that exhaust. He wants to defuse any play from happening from the side of RNG. So Wei very excited to start the Herald and just drop it top lane, honestly. So he can just go the Void Staff and one pop Ucal and Huanfeng.
I like one pop, yeah. It ain't gonna be a 2. It makes sense. You pop champagne, there's only 1. And that's what Breed's gonna do. Because Hoya, you're right, is an easy target for the Herald. So we'll kind of keep an eye on Wei and see when he uses it, because already it's about a 30 CS lead. And so top feels like it's already so one-sided that, you know, the Herald is just going to open up the map, get the Kennen to move around, and more importantly, get him towards that first item a little bit sooner. As I will say, on the other side of the rip, TT are making use of mid, because now mid has a similar value of CS lead, where Ucal's doing real well against Angel.
Yeah, how interesting is it that this LeBlanc has been hard countered by the Vex, but she's still up in CS. To be fair, if you place the W correctly, slightly to the side and dodge the shield from Angel by the pixels, it can be a successful trade as you just land those E's in the minion wave. Well, you see RNG just gonna look like they're gonna drop the Herald for Gala.
Maybe get some gold onto him. As you said, top has not been the successful play in this series. So I guess Wade's like, wait. We got to bring it back to our #1 carry, which over the split has always been Gala. And here on this Xayah as well, he'll be close to picking up the Gale Force pretty soon. So Maybe that'll just give him the inch over. Herald still being held on to. Nevertheless, though, 4 minutes to really use it. We know there's less on the Herald timer, but 4 minutes to let the play disappear. Xayah's going for a bit of a roam. Will be spotted out by RNG. Nothing more than that. And Kitty, feels like in this chill early game, we are just kind of waiting for that next dragon in minute 30.
Yeah, I mean, RNG already prepping for a look at Ming and Wei, which is exactly what they thrive off. This duo working together and having so much presence around this map, getting so much deep wards where Breathe can work of this and TP, potentially even look for a flank onto the backline of TT, and that is going to be game over if they pull that off. Hoya gonna get a little bit of a breather by getting one play. The TP is gonna get used by Breathe. I thought he was gonna drop a bot.
Yeah, I mean, again, with Dragon coming up, you'd think so, right? Herald being used, though, in the meantime, as Hoya will now know exactly where that Kennen in and the jungle, so Hoya is going on a journey. I guess he just wants to back, but he didn't want to die to Breathe, so he's going to back. Is he proxying? Hoya, a singed or KSante?
He's lost the plot.
What's the difference? He's like, let's proxy the wave. He didn't have TP, so he's staying here. And I guess as he gets the wave, he's going to now back as Breathe actually doesn't follow him.
Yeah, I guess that's just Hoya cooking something up in the top lane plus one wave, I'm assuming, but the Herald getting dropped for Gala. This means this Xayah not having a mythic just quite yet. She really needs to back here, but TT isn't giving the chance over as the dragon is going to be spawning in 15 seconds. But that does seem like bad tempo or bad timings for RNG to take this next fight.
True. Bad timing because, as you said, the teleport takes away from some of that threat that RNG could have played with the flank, and especially since Protobelt was picked up by Breathe. Flat out as his first item. So much possibility just shifted as he stays in topside. Beichuan soloing the dragon, and Kitty, this will be second dragon. And we know so far in this series the dragon stacking has been nigh uninfluential as All Out's going to be used, taking Breathe away from the lane. He's got the ulti, the slicing Maelstrom when to come out. The stun's there. Hoya, was he overly ambitious? Well, no, he's got a friend. But the brother, can he help out? The stun out, he's still dead. Breathe now looking for Ucal, but it will be a trade. Ambitious from Hoya, who doesn't even have his first item. It's okay, Kitty. I've been told to solo cast because Australian internet has to affect at least one of us. But in the meantime, as we look at this replay, I mean, guys, Hoya doesn't have an item. And even though KSante is a bit of Season 12/13 magic, it just wasn't enough. Kitty told Breathe to bring on more members, said he could take on 3, and I believe her. She speaks the truth. Because Breathe right here having a great game on the Kennen, and Kennen in this series is numero uno. We do see a needlessly large rod coming out of this man as well, so not only is he an item ahead, he's got the rod on top with about a 30 CS lead. Also note, we've got about 20 CS lead through mid and through bot. By the way, not a CS lead there, but we've got first item as Kitty's back, and you can take the wheel.
I'm back, Hysterics. I am so sorry for that tech issue, but hopefully that is going to be the one time I've experienced that. As you said what I had to say, Breathe proving himself that no matter how many members you bring towards that top lane, this Kennen is a very big problem now where you need at least 2 members to respond to him in the side lane, and RNG can just play with the numbers advantage and really force fights. Oh my god, how are you ulting?
Oh my Gala, oh yeah, get in, a bit of wordplay thrown in the mix as I guess he decided to just throw the feathers out.
At least it worked, he still used it.
RNG in a collapse though, Beichuan taking this on. He ulted, but it's a bit late. I think Beichuan was a bit overambitious for that one, as Huanfeng gonna pop his ulti, but the Zeri is only at 1 item, the fight's there. The surge gonna come through, Angel still has himself for Shadow, but chooses not to take it, chain doesn't connect, and Beichuan, I don't know what that play was from TT. Yeah,
Beichuan losing the plot a little bit when it comes to what he has in terms of territory in this jungle, but Ming having so much vision set up before TT ever entered into their own jungle, he was just caught off guard, and overextended. I think he should really just play up the Zeri as she is currently... Oh no, another 1v1.
But this time around, does he have his first item? He doesn't. Breathe
Good
away! Breathe! The sidestep of a legend, and now Hoya has absolutely no oxygen to spare.
Hoya just face-palmed in real life after that solo kill. He is having a real tough one. And this is all because Wei ganked top lane first at that level 4 mark and got the ball rolling early on for this Kennen pick. And this Kennen has been dominating all 3 games in this series so far. But we're going to get a replay of what happened to Beichuan as he was just way too overpushed from this play. Ucal wasn't in position to help him, and there were just not enough people to help anyone in that situation. He's going to be 2 kills going over to TT. Oh, RNG.
Oh yeah, look. We'll look at this solo kill again. Kitty. Well, Kitty, look, this was almost one, but Breed's sidestep was clutch.
Yeah, that was so clutch. About 3 seconds, boom, right there. He dodged Q3 and the last autos finish of Hoya, and he is in devastation after that solo kill as well.
Kennen's solo kills of this series is now at 2. Unless I missed one before, Hoya did it. But Breathe now doing it a lot better here with Shadow Flame almost picked up. He's 3-1-0. Hoya still doesn't have his first item as Herald goes over, and I will say it goes over to RNG, but not only are they getting Herald, Kitty, Gala, he survives spot, he gets bottom lane turret. TT aren't trading. They're now down 4,000 gold just about.
Yeah, RNG's more than happy to trade the early dragons for 2 Heralds going over to Wei. He's just going to open up all the tier 1 towers for this map, and Wei and Ming, when they play with the vision control, it's going to be impossible to ever walk into these bushes because you're just going to get caught out. Beichuan only sitting on 1 item as well. This is in the early game because I think this champion falls off so hard when it comes to the mid-game state, and it's going to be really tough to try and revive from this current suffocation. But the 3rd dragon is now spawning. Angel a little bit caught out.
Oh, failed the flash! He failed the flash in playoffs. That's rough to watch as Ucal's one that sets it up, gets the kill credit as well. RNG going to use a Herald, meanwhile mid, but they're going to lose 3rd dragon because of a Kitty. It just depends how much RNG can get with this push.
I'm so sorry everyone, but that flash caught me off guard. I can't believe Angel just missed the flash by a pixel. And that's going to be a pick, and the 3rd soul is going to go into TT's hands. That was their play. That's their angle to come back into the game, Jay.
Yeah, it's huge. It means Ocean Soul on the horizon. As you said, soul point for TT and Kitty. They're the ones supporting the Zeri. The front composition with Hoya and Beichuan. You know, Zin might be useless as the game goes on, but Kitty, that's still a mouth that you have to take away from the meal as Angel. Oh, no, don't do it, Observer. Don't do it.
No, I'm closing my eyes, Jay. It's too hard. It's too hard to digest. Oh no, what a terrible, unfortunate series of events. But Angel looking for a revenge.
They've gone deep again. Stretch line's coming through. Ming has the depth charge. Xayah's hovering on the edge. Breathe has the ulti. Beichuan going to be depth charge. Shadow Surge. Everything in. 3 ultis, but it's worth because Angel gets a kill. And Beichuan, that's the 2nd time this game that he's gone too far in RNG's face.
You see that TT is getting so desperate to try and make anything happen because this Xayah and Vex are slowly getting online.
TP out, it's ignored, it's stopped, it's taken. Ucal going to double distortion, but there's a Cyclone part 2, flash away. Ucal is alive. There ain't no Jinx Rocket this time around, but man, TT is slipping up.
I mean, Ucal didn't die to say the least at the very end. But there's another solo kill
Oh yeah, 3rd time's the charm, but Hoya took another turret shot. This time it's against Angel. He flashes, the Topo strikes, and he gets the solo kill. Revenge is a dish best served KSante style.
This time, it's Angel getting the shorter end of the stick as Hoya finally wins a 1v1 isolated into that top side. Might I add, this KSante doesn't have a mythic yet, so he just straight up won from skill issue, I suppose. But Angel is looking a little bit shaky for this game too on this Vex, where we said that this Vex needs to play perfect with how she times her W's, or it's going to be really tough for Gala to fight up all the carries that TT has for this composition. But how many times has Hoya ulted over this wall? I believe 3 now, and this is 3rd time's the charm, I believe. So finally the Q3 lands and Angel's dead.
It is Angel. I mean, this time it was Angel, to be fair. If he did it to Breathe again, as, okay, everyone's happy. Everyone is quite happy that Hoya finally got the kill and finally got a mythic, I might add. We've got Jack Show, as Rusty would say, the protein shake.
Yes.
So we do have a KSante getting somewhere.
KSante was always going to get somewhere. It took time, but a 200 years experienced champion is always going to do something, to say the least, when it comes to 5v5. So I'm not going to be too Angel landing the ultimate.
There's the present guard. Yao puts the quickness up, but here we go. Reset time for Angel. He has another one onto Beichuan. He doesn't take it. Mr. Bolt's there. Ucal, that's just the clone, but RNG have found TT. Again, Freeze is just there, and Kitty, what is it with TT and just running into their death?
They can't phase check any of these bushes because Ming and Wei already set up the vision control, and you don't have your front lane, which is Hoya, who has been sitting in this top lane for 20 minutes, so making any plays around that dragon is so impossible, and now Baron's gonna get started, but they don't have the jungler anywhere. Oh, they do have him here, but they're not gonna take it, they're just gonna take tier 1.
But further to your point, there's no one available. Ucal is also dead. So TT, it's just about the mid lane turret. It's Baron. Ah, Kitty, I'm dying. I'm probably getting...
Lack of fish and chips.
Lack of breathing. Are TT hurting me right now? Are they upset? Because if I was a TT fan, I would be. It's a 5,000 gold lead. They might be leading to Soul, but plays like this, as you said, the face checker keeps happening.
Yeah, look at that CP ward that RNG has behind. They just knew that this was going to be a winning fight. Huanfeng coming in late as well, but this choke is so impossible against the Wukong. The Zeri can't go in, the LeBlanc can't go in. The follow-up from Ming was just... It's just a lot of successful skirmishes being pulled off for RNG, where this Xinliu and LeBlanc were the key points for this early game, but now you're 8-3, but still considering the Ocean Soul point.
45 seconds till that comes up. Beichuan, the old FPX jungler, now trying to prove himself here on a new team. TT mashed together. Where Hoya and Ucal came in through last split, they've already shown signs of development, but Huanfeng was such a big addition. TT were so primed at the start of the series, and we were talking about those said players. Especially, you know, Huanfeng, Ucal. These people seem to be making up the new TT. And I feel like, looking at how Huanfeng's set up in this game, Kitty, this Zeri is still going to be a threat. And despite RNG finding picks in the fog of war, we have to keep an eye on this AD, who is 2 items strong, and who will be maybe heading towards this dragon or towards a play, because TT are on Soul Point, but look at the vision. It's just being toggled off.
It's insane, Hysterics, but perhaps when it does come to the next 5v5, Xayah having this exhaust available is going to at least stop this 4-1 Kennen from destroying the backline of TT.
Yeah.
But you still have to consider Angel getting all these resets, and of course Gala, who has been honestly ulting forwards. He does not care, which is a very worrying sign if the enemy's eye is ulting forward.
It's the confidence, it's the ease of access right now. There's RNG with the Baron buff and the Soul denied. Head up towards mid, inner is just free, and in the meanwhile, Beichuan is doing Gromp on the enemy side of the map. Beichuan decided to pull the old SOFM out.
There's no cams, Hysterics.
While in-hip turret was getting taken down, RNG are like, where is this Zhao Xin? Where is he?
Well, Zhao Xin's in base now, and I was assuming he was farming for his second item, but he just went back, got the Warhammer, and he's like, yo, what's up, team? I'm back. After losing tier 2 tower, TT can't wave clear properly, because if you step too forward, then RNG's just going to pull the trigger, because this LeBlanc, if she ever gets hit by a single CC, she is just straight up dead. As LeBlanc, for this final picks of Ucal with TT in this game 3, is really struggling to find the picks onto RNG and get the damage done.
Despite being 2-1, exactly. It's a LeBlanc that hasn't had as much impact as we would have liked to see. Breed might be caught out, but meanwhile, looking here, there's a slicing Maelstrom in the meanwhile. But look at Ucal, destroyed almost by Breed. They exhaust him, but it's too late. Hoya TP's in, but that's too late. Ucal's clone goes down. Huanfeng has to slip over the wall, and TT came in 1 by 1, and Breed just took out 3 people by himself.
Okay, Beichuan's pushing mid lane, and we have the TP coming out of Ucal. They're sacking this top tier 2, and they're going to go for the other side of the map where it's going to get responded by a TP.
TP response is there. Angel does get hit on the way out. So at least they draw the summoner away as Ucal. Now with that health bar, can he get anything? He's got flash available too, but Angel also has the flash and the ulti. Wei's moving down. Beichuan needs to be a helping hand here for Ucal. They don't see Beichuan though, so as Wei gets ready to come through, he'll spot the jungler, but there's a bit of a cyclone dip here as Shadow Surge is dodged away. Nice sidestep, but Beichuan has to flush over the wall. TT again, over ambitious, overexerting themselves, have to run for the hills while RNG face them off.
You do end up getting the Cyclone and the Vex ultimate, to say the least, and Hoya now freed up from any pressure of RNG as you got at least 3 towards that bot. It's not going to mean anything because it just seems like TT is struggling to make any play happen across all sides of the map as they're just giving away free objectives. And this Zhao really struggling to engage, but you know, this Zhao, we said that he is on a ticking time bomb, and I think 26 minutes already too late.
He's going to get Black Cleaver at the very least, but you're right, you know, there's less of an impact there, and we need to start moving eyes towards Huanfeng, even to Ucal continuously. Huanfeng is close to getting that Bloodthirst third as Ming drops 5 for a bit of a howdy ward. As Gala now confidently hits me, but look at Breathe, look at Breathe, look at Breathe, look at Breathe. Huanfeng, how much faith do you have? The sun will come in, he goes over the wall to his friends, but Breathe ulti shreds him asunder. Beichuan left in the middle here with the Crescent Guard that comes down late, but he's dead again. Depth charge saves Breeze with the good Zonyas as well. He's taking the all out as Ucal takes him out. There's a shutdown. TT gets something, but remember, it was Breeze who once again became a monster.
And Breathe gets a Rabadons from that pick with 2 down now. How is TT going to fight them off because your Zeri is dead? LeBlanc can't clear the wave.
All good chain. Ucal at least doing some damage, but Kitty, RNG now with their AD are able to push through mid. Death timers aren't long enough, but inhibitor now down, and RNG putting the finishing touches, it feels like, on this game number 3. What a resurgence in our opening round of playoffs, where RNG, from where they started to now, is just a completely different story.
Yeah, Wei looks like a different person compared to the game 1. He has an idea of what to do across every single minute on this map.
Maybe it's a Wukong.
Yeah, he's a monkey for every single game, and it's doing like
in a good
he
way.
Is playing the monkey. We love monkeys on the LPL, but Huanfeng is a bad monkey and he eats the wrong way. But to be fair, when you press tab and you're a 0-0 ADC, you see the enemy Kennen being 4-1. What do you do?
I just love how you inadvertently just called a player a monkey.
I didn't mean it, I'm sorry. I'm a monkey.
It's alright, I've been an ape here for years. No one's noticed. The people that have, obviously my monkey brothers, they've been chilling for ages, but I thought I hid it pretty well. But I'm happy to come out and say I've also been an ape for many years. Honestly, I love bananas that much. I think I was just born in the wrong family. Hang on, Wei gonna get engaged on. Let's hold the conversation because Gala just soloed out the dragon, so TT while it looks for a pick in the top side. I'm gonna lose that objective, Kitty, because now it feels like it's all about this Baron and trying to give TT a bit more time.
Look at the vision that Ming has already set up. Double sweep is getting popped by RNG as well. No tier 2 towers for this mid. It's gonna be so rough. Ucal needs to find a really nice flank angle on this LeBlanc and hopefully one-tap Breathe since he doesn't have any defensive items just quite yet. But with this Kennen being level 17 and the 5v5s fighting in chokes where Wei has been looking extremely good, it's gonna be kind of tough. Maybe Yaya's exhaust can do the thing.
Wei by himself, chain connects on jungle, but look, Yaya just bursted out.
Just casted him.
You really did. Pixel second at the very least. Kitty, RNG will get the pick off Hoya. Now caught out in rotation. Shadow Surge dodged away from nicely, but RNG have no support to deal with, or at least against now. The quickness can't be utilized, and TT are at a numbers disadvantage.
The worst thing is that TT Yaya tried to walk in for at least a ward, but he died before he got to the pit. Now RNG starting to breathe.
He's ready to use the ultimate. Got flash available. 7k. Beichuan hovers around the pit, but Breathe is such a threat. Ucal jumps in. Angel takes a big hit, but this has to be big from Beichuan to steal. No, the feathers flying instead. RNG pick up the Baron. They go over the wall, and Breathe is having a field day, kids. make sure you check into the bus because Breathe is already sitting down, taking the favorite seat as you get yourself a double, and now the flash from Gala. The cat comes out as well. You gotta love it because RNG are vibing with the rest of this series as Kitty, Nexus turret's gonna drop down. Death should come through it as well. Breathe has awoken too, and RNG fans can rejoice because this team, the Spring Kings, seem to be fated to be on match point.
Breathe telling TT a message, bring more people to top lane because I am going to top gap with this Kennen, and he proved just that in this game 3. And I think this Kennen overall is going to be the perfect word to describe our entire RNG versus TT series for tonight, Hysterics.
Yeah, it's been great Kennen gameplay throughout. You know, Breathe fixing what happened last game, and to be fair, he was bullied. You know, jungle roll came up, everyone came up to hit Breathe. There were attempted 1v1s. Hoya tried with the all-outs, and there were some really close plays. But Breathe with a double solo kill that game, and even though, like, you know, he was already doing well in the laning phase, it just felt like he elevated that further than you'd expect, Kitty. We're on 4 or 5 kills by the end. We're on Breathe Kennen with a massive CS lead. Level 17 at 30 minutes into the game, too. So Breathe was obviously set up to win. I think from the early laning phase, as you said, RNG set themselves up with explosive lanes, and that top lane definitely delivered on that regard.
Yeah, Kennen took over the laning phase, and of course, all these team fights. I think Angel was the one exception where he was slightly suffering in terms of the LeBlanc matchup, which isn't something you expect when you do look at Vex versus LeBlanc. But fortunately, Gala and Ming were having a blast of a time in the bottom lane, not getting any jungle pressure from this Zhao, where Beichuan, we have been saying this for the past 2 series, these junglers of the opposing team is just really struggling to get the same effect or at least impact compared to the other jungler, where they're just completely getting taken off the map and all these major objectives going to the hands of TT, but it doesn't matter because all the items came online and you can't ever win a 5v5 anymore. Breathe
started joining in, Kitty. And even Angel, who was in a lane deficit there, like his team fighting, his skirmishing, his punishes, when TT, as you were saying in that game, walked into Fog of War, which they could not do, was just on point. And we have to give credit to, I guess, the macro of RNG, because it's not only just the development in the series, but it's the cleanliness in which they took apart TT and punished those mistakes at the hands of people like Wei as well, who is having a great series now.
Yeah, I was getting a little bit worried because I think Wei is the glue that holds RNG together. He either makes the team or breaks the team, and you can usually tell in the first 5 minutes, but this Wukong pick has been working wonders for both junglers, where if you just take a look at the damage graphs, I believe that TT was still building a lot of MR because that's just how big of a problem that Breathe became. But you look at the bottom, Gala was honestly working towards that 3rd item as well, and they were just never in a winning position ever since this Kennen got the 2nd solo kill.
26,000. Everyone else was nothing. I mean, that is almost like 3,000 more, Kitty, or maybe 4. And he would have done the rest of his carries damage, like Wei, Angel, and Gala combined. That is absurd to show Breathe's performance in that game. Against the take matchup, sure, say what you want, but Tway's ulti was so good too. Ucal on the other side would have matched some part of that, but Breathe just taking a carrying force, it feels like. And Kitty, now on match point out the back of it as 44% damage on your Kennen. It feels like this might have to be a ban going forward.
I think TT, if you're not blue side, you have to ban the Kennen away because they've been blinding it for 2 games in a row now. And if you don't have the answer, or you're not going to be able to play something like the Jace that can respond to the Kennen in that top lane isolated matchup, then you just need to get rid of it because when this Kennen gets the early ganks from Wei, which we've obviously seen in that game 3, it's just going to get out of control. And I think Ucal on this LeBlanc definitely was a bit of a rough one for him, since it was tough for him to find angles up against something like the Vex. So even if you are red, save that counter pick for Ucal.
And give Ucal as more priority. I couldn't agree more. Like, even the Yone game looked promising. However, it was just the early lanes that suffered as a result. But RNG, hey, it's their story at the moment. 2-1 here in round 1 of playoffs. The Spring Kings apparently are back.